Here we're going to do a couple quick examples of what an even function or an odd function are. So we're going to have three choices. There's going to be even, odd, and then neither. So we have our function f of x, just anything. And so this can be classified as either one of these three. Or it could be all of them, but that's not too important. Anyway, so for an even, what it means is that if we have f of x, this is going to equal f of negative x. Meaning that, like we have our functions, say if it's f of x equals 3x squared plus 7x plus 1. F of negative x is just we replace all these x's with negative x. So if we did that and we simplified and these two are the same thing, it would be even. Odd is going to be if f of x equals negative f of negative x, meaning that so we take f of negative x and also put a negative in front, and if we simplify this and it ends up being the same as that, then it's going to be odd. And then neither, it just means neither even nor odd. Basically what that means is this doesn't happen or this doesn't happen, then it's going to be neither. So let's do a couple examples. The first one, let's just start with this one up here. F of x equals 3x squared plus 7x plus 1. Okay, so the first thing, let's check to see if it's even. So to see if it's even, we have to see is f of x the same thing as f of negative x. So first, let's just find f of negative x. So f of negative x, we're just going to replace all of these x's with negative x's. So we'll have 3 negative x squared plus 7 times negative x plus 1. And so what does this equal? Well, here we're doing a negative x squared. Whenever you square a negative, the negative sign just goes away. So this is going to be 3x squared. Here's 7 times minus x, so minus 7x. And here's plus 1. So just from the look of it, f of x, which is this piece, this is f of negative x, they're not the same thing. So we know we're not even. So now let's move on to the next one. Is it going to be odd? So does f of x equal negative f of negative x? So let's find that, negative f of negative x. But a second ago, we just found f of negative x, this piece right here, that's this. So we just need to find negative of that piece. Okay, so then this is going to be negative 3x squared plus 7x minus 1. And again, so here's f, we're looking for negative f of negative x. We just found f of negative x, that's this piece right here. F of negative x is this. So we need to do negative f of negative x. So we have to do the negative of this, which is what we're doing right here, negative of this piece. And anyway, so we do all that, simplify, and we see that this piece right here, we want to see is it the same as f of x for odd. But this piece is not the same as f of x, so that tells us it's not odd. And if you aren't odd and you aren't even, that means you're going to be neither. So for this example, f of x is neither. All right, let's do one more example. How about g of x is equal to x to the 10 minus x to the 6 plus 2. Okay, so we want to see, is this even, odd, or neither? So let's see first if it's even. So let's first find f of negative x, or in this case, g of negative x. Okay, so we're going to replace all the x's with negative x's. All right, so we replace that with a negative x. We're raising that to a 10. And so whenever you're raising a negative to an even number, it gets rid of the negative sign. So this is going to be x to the 10 minus, here we're doing a negative to an even number, so it's going to be x to the 6 and then plus 2. But we see here that g of x and g of negative x are the same thing. So that's good. It tells us that, let's write that right here. So for sure it is even. But it also may be odd, so we need to see if it is odd. So let's do the next one. Negative g of negative x. Okay, so we need to find negative g of negative x. Well, here's g of negative x, this piece. Let's do the negative of it. Okay, so this is going to be negative x to the 10 plus x to the 6 minus 2. But then we look at that's not the same thing as g of x. These aren't the same thing. Since these two aren't the same thing, it can't be odd. So it's not going to be odd. So in this situation, the only thing we have is going to be even.